You remember Lucy? We were told by the evolutionists this is a perfect example of evolution. This is actually a human being. It's the missing link, so we were told. We were told that Lucy is a goyle and not a monkey. And yet, the evidence does not seem to support that, as Dr. David Menton points out. I will use this Answers in Genesis DVD to bring us back up to speed. As a human being, if this is my hip bone, because it's placed like this in this direction, it causes me and allows me to walk like I'm in some third world army marching in a military parade. I can stay erect because of it. However, Lucy was not found that way. Her hip bone was found this way, which is the same direction a monkey's hip bone is directed. What's the difference? Hip like this, I walk like I'm in the military in Uzbekistan. If the hip is like this, I walk like that. What kind of hip does Lucy have? It's not like this, it's like that. So you and I, as biblical Christians, look at the evidence and go, well, then she wasn't a woman, she was a monkey. Brace yourself, confronted with that information. How does the evolutionist go about dealing with this?
Now, what are the evolutionists going to do about that? You're not going to believe this. Nova, have you heard Nova? There was a PBS Nova series in which Dr. Owen Lovejoy, a very distinguished, famous paleoanthropologist, was involved. And he's looking at Lucy's skeleton here, and he's lamenting the fact that the hips are all wrong. They're supposed to be human-like hips, so you can walk the way the Latoli footprints showed she walked, but they don't look like human hips, they look like ape hips. What to do about this? Watch it. You'll get a big kick out of this.
The ape that stood up, it was a revolutionary idea. We needed Owen Lovejoy's expertise again, because the evidence wasn't quite adding up. The knee looked human, but the shape of her hip didn't. Superficially, her hip resembled a chimpanzee's, which meant that Lucy couldn't possibly have walked like a modern human. But Lovejoy noticed something odd about the way the bones had been fossilized.
When I put the two parts of the pelvis together that we had, this part of the pelvis has pressed so hard and so completely into this one that it caused it to be broken into a series of individual pieces which were then fused together in later fossils.
So you see they were broken and they don't fit together properly. They did speculate in the program as to exactly who was responsible for breaking the hip, and current scientific evidence suggests perhaps a deer stepped on it. Here you can see a deer foot stepping on the bone. Isn't that a bummer? Let's see where it goes from here.
This has caused the two bones, in fact, to fit together so well that they're in an anatomically impossible position.
The perfect fit was an illusion that made Lucy's hip bones seem to flare out like a chimp's. But all was not lost.
This is a power saw, friends. You may want to put your goggles on.
Lovejoy decided he could restore the pelvis to its natural shape. He didn't want to tamper with the original, so he made a copy in plaster.
Notice he's removing whole parts, not just cutting.
He cut the damaged pieces out and put them back together the way they were before Lucy died. It was a tricky job, but after taking the kink out of the pelvis, it all fit together perfectly, like a three-dimensional jigsaw puzzle.
Look how perfect. You can read a newspaper through the hole.
As a result, the angle of the hip looks nothing like a chimp's, but a lot like ours.
Yeah, now, this is what we call science. You can teach this in the public schools, but you can't criticize it, because if you do, that would be religious. So,
It's funny if it weren't so tragic. because they had a presupposition. No, this is going to be the missing link, even if the evidence doesn't support it. And then they try to tell us, see, that's how it actually happened. Not one example that we have in any of the museums, and we should have millions of examples of evolution. Lucy, the evidence does not support that she was the missing link.